Imagine waking up one morning and government wants to know everything you own. How many people live in your house, how much tax you have to pay, how many cows are in your house. That was the fear spreading through these women. But there was something even more disturbing. The British colonial government was changing the way communities were governed. They were appointing men known as warrant chiefs and giving them authority. And most of these men were misbehaving because of the authority given to them. And then came the counting. The colonial officials began collecting information about households and the people living in them, how many wives, how many foodstuffs, livestock you have. To the British, this was administration, but to many local people, it looked like something else. They planned to tax them, and the fear was not unfounded. The women of southern Nigeria were already deeply involved in farming, trading, and controlling local markets. They had their own system of influence and collective actions. So when they began to believe that the colonial taxation was coming, they did not simply sit back and wait. No, no, no. They started talking. They were so worried. They started organizing. And eventually, thousands of women would come together to challenge the colonial authority. But here's what makes this story so fascinating. These women already had their own traditional weapon of protest. It was called sitting on a man. Can somebody shout power? But what exactly did it mean, sitting on a man? It was a powerful form of public protest used by women in Igbo communities years back. When a man was believed to have behaved wrongly or done something terrible, women could gather at his home or place of work. They would sing, they would dance, they would shout, they would chant, they would do anything. They could even insult or publicly shame him. And they would make it extremely difficult for him to simply ignore them. You can never ignore them. The message was very clear. We are not satisfied with what you have done, and we will not leave until you listen to us. Women had used this form of collective action long before the British arrived. Women were about to use it against a much bigger target, the colonial system itself. As rumors about taxation spread, women became increasingly suspicious of the officials carrying out the household assessments. And then, in November, the tension exploded. Very quickly, the protests grew beyond one woman, one area. Women from surrounding communities joined them. They marched, they moved around, they sang, they were destroying things, they protested, they were destroying houses, offices, and then they demanded that the colonial authority withdraw the proposed taxation, that women are not going to pay tax. But the British underestimated what was happening. They were not dealing with a small group of angry individuals. They didn't take it serious, and there was a protest. The protest took a tragic turn. That is where the Abbah women war truly began. When the protest turned deadly, the women had come to protest. They did not come looking for a fight, but their confrontation with the colonial authorities turned deadly. As the protest spread across southern Nigeria, more and more women joined. They targeted colonial officers, native cults, and the homes of warrant chiefs and other officials. They believed that they were enforcing the unpopular system. The message was simply clear: stop the taxation, remove the unpopular warrant chiefs, listen to the women. But the colonial authorities saw the growing protests as a threat to their control. They were worried, and instead of simply backing down, they called in the police and the military. Then, at several protest locations, colonial forces opened fire. Women were killed. Many others were injured. The news spread quickly. And instead of ending the protests, the violence made the anger even stronger. Women continued to demonstrate. Buildings connected to the colonial administration were attacked or destroyed. Warrant chiefs were forced to flee in some communities because they were scared of their lives. And for several weeks, southern Nigeria was shaken by one of the largest anti-colonial protests British authorities had faced in the region. The British eventually realized that this was not simply a disagreement over taxes. The women were challenging the entire system of colonial rule. They were demanding a voice in how their communities were governed. And they were resisting a system that they believed was taking away powers they had traditionally exercised. Eventually, the colonial government was forced to investigate what had happened. The system of warrant chiefs came under serious criticism, and the way colonial officials governed southern Nigeria began to change. But there was a bigger legacy. The Abbah women had shown that women could organize across communities and challenge colonial authority on a massive scale. They had taken something the British thought they could control and turned it into movement they could no longer ignore. The women did not win everything they demanded, but their resistance became an important chapter in the history of Nigerian anti-colonial struggle. And perhaps the most remarkable part is this: they did it decades before Nigeria became independent. They were just ordinary women, traders, farmers, mothers and community members who came together and said enough is enough.